For Catholics who are aware of tensions in the Church that could cause schism, all eyes are on Germany. As a backdrop to the issue, a 2021 survey found that 33% of German Catholics say they are considering leaving the Church, with 44% who said they would stay and 23% undecided or no answer. In 2019, more Germans left the Catholic Church than had ever been recorded before. The number decreased in 2020 and then went drastically higher in 2021. One way church leaders have thought they could stem the flow was to get Catholics more involved in the Church. At the same time, the Church in Germany has been dealing with a sexual abuse scandal. Former Pope Benedict XVI was, prior to his papacy, known as Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, and from 1977 to 1982, he was the head of the diocese in Munich, Germany. One case he dealt with was for a priest accused of repeated misconduct against children, and in a meeting he participated in, it was decided the man would be transferred from Essen to Munich. After the transfer, the priest continued to abuse children. Former Pope Benedict insists that he had no part in the final decision. Studies into abuse in other Catholic dioceses have found that, for example, in the Münster diocese between 1947 and 2008, there were at least 610 cases of abuse. The cases involved 196 clerics, and 5% were so-called serial abusers that had at least 10 reported cases against them. As the German Church has sought to resolve this issue and be more transparent in the future, part of the response was to initiate a 2-year reform program called Der Synodale Weg, which translated means the Synodal Path. The seeds of this began when in 2018 the Plenary Assembly of the Bishops' Conference stated the challenges specific to the Catholic Church, such as the questions of the celibate way of life of priests and various aspects of Catholic sexual morality, will be discussed in a transparent process of dialogue with experts from various disciplines. The website of the Synodal Path says of its intentions, the Church in Germany is experiencing a turning point. Faith can only grow and deepen if one becomes free from thinking blockades, if one faces up to the free and open debate and develops the ability to take new positions and to go new ways. Cardinal Reinhard Marx, Archbishop of Munich and Freising, has stated, the sexual morality of the Church has not yet absorbed decisive insights from theology and human sciences. The personal meaning of sexuality does not receive sufficient attention. The result, the proclamation of morality does not give orientation to the vast majority of the baptized. It leads a niche existence. We sense how often we are not able to speak when it comes to questions about today's sexual behavior. The bishops involved in the Synodal Path made it clear that they were reconsidering church teaching on a celibate priesthood, the ordination of women, and the Church's view on homosexuality. The program is to run from December 2019 and end in 2023. In February 2022, a Synodal Path meeting ended with votes on some of these issues. The Synodal Assembly, the voting body, is made up of equal parts of bishops and laypersons. A vote to back a document called Blessing Celebrations for Couples Who Love Each Other, which encouraged blessings of same-sex couples, passed with a 161-34 vote. A vote on a text that called for the ordination of women priests passed by 174-30. In a March 2022 interview, Archbishop Marx said, "The Catechism is not set in stone. One may also question what it says. Homosexuality is not a sin. It corresponds to a Christian attitude when two people, regardless of gender, stand up for each other in joy and sorrow." On April 11, an open letter was published from 74 bishops around the world that stated in part, the Synodal Path's actions undermine the credibility of church authority, including that of Pope Francis, Christian anthropology, and sexual morality, and the reliability of Scripture. The urgency of our joint remarks is rooted in Romans 12, and especially Paul's caution, do not be conformed to this world, and their seriousness flows from the confusion that the Synodal Path has already caused and continues to cause, and the potential for schism in the life of the Church that will inevitably result. The president of the German Bishops' Conference responded to the letter 3 days later by stating, the Synodal Path is our attempt in Germany to confront these systemic causes of the abuse and its cover-up that has caused untold suffering to so many people in and through the Church. The Synodal Path is therefore also our attempt to make a credible proclamation of the good news possible again. This occasion and context is particularly important to us, but unfortunately it is not mentioned at all in your letter. The Synodal Path in no way undermines the authority of the Church, including that of Pope Francis, as you write. So the Synodal Path continued. Then, on July 21, big news. The Vatican released a statement not signed by the Pope, but that would not be able to be released without his awareness. It said in part, "In order to protect the freedom of the people of God and the exercise of the episcopal ministry, it seems necessary to clarify that the Synodal Path in Germany does not have the faculty to oblige bishops and the faithful to assume new forms of governance and new approaches to doctrine and morals. It would not be lawful to initiate in the diocese, prior to an agreed understanding at the level of the universal church, new official structures or doctrines which would represent a wound to ecclesial communion and a threat to the unity of the church." Bishops involved responded, stating that they were, quote, astonished at the, quote, poor form the Vatican had showed by releasing such a statement to the public without putting a name to it. Bernardo Schlegelmilch, a reporter for the progressive newspaper The National Catholic Reporter, wrote in August 2022, "The Vatican is concerned with ideas coming from Germany to reform the Catholic Church." On July 21, a statement was published through official channels of the Holy See warning Germany's Synodal Path reform project against breaking with the universal church. Tensions are rising between Germany and Rome. Is the threat of schism real? First of all, no. Germany does not want to split with the Catholic Church. However, tensions seem higher than they ever have been before. The accusation is that German Catholics want to fundamentally change the Church, that they are going rogue. The Vatican has a problem with that. In contrast, the Catholic Herald website ran with the headline, "Imminent Schism? Boost for Synodal Path as German Catholics back abortion." In the article, the Catholic Herald points out that a survey of German Catholics found that when asked if it was good for the Pope and Church to speak against abortion, 58% opposed the idea, and only 17% were in favor, and saying, "The data from Germany therefore does not just speak to the cultural schism within Europe, dividing the continent between a secular, multicultural, and progressive West and a religious, more homogeneous and conservative East, but to the real risk of schism within the Church. It should be noted that the co-president of the Synodal Path has called for nationwide abortion provision." In September of 2022, one of the founders of the Synodal Path confirmed the goal of establishing a permanent synodal council. This would alter the way church government looks within the Catholic Church in Germany. There would be a new permanent body made up of both clergy and laypersons that would be involved in church decisions. One thing this would mean is that the 2023 end date of the Synodal Path would not necessarily be the end of the controversy. September also marked the beginning of another assembly of the Synodal Path, and on the first day, Thursday, September 8, a vote was taken on a document titled "Life and Succeeding Relationships: The Principles of Renewed Sexual Ethics." One requirement for the passage of any document through the assembly is that 2/3 of the bishops participating must support it, and in this case, the vote was 33 in favor, 22 opposed, and 2 abstentions. That meant only 61% in favor, and the vote failed. Some things that the failed document said were, same-sex sexuality, also expressed in sexual acts, is not a sin that causes separation from God, and is not to be judged as intrinsically bad, and that it is urgently necessary to overcome some of the restrictions in questions of sexuality for reasons of sexual science as well as theology. With the failure to pass this document being widely decried, organizers of the Synodal Path decided to change the process from secret ballot to recorded votes, and the remaining 2 days, the opposition to presented documents collapsed. A document that called for the reevaluation of homosexuality passed with only 8 bishops voting no and 8 abstentions. 40 bishops voted yes, 83% support. Over 80% also voted to approve a text which called for women to be ordained. Most recently, on November 6 of 2022, Pope Francis indicated that he worried the German happenings could lead to schism. His translated remark about the reforms was, "I say to German Catholics, Germany has a great Protestant church, but I don't want another one because it won't be as good." Pope Francis has called for an upcoming synod on synodality in October 2023, and so the concept of a more synodal and collegial aspect to the government of the Catholic Church is not in and of itself something he is discouraging, although this too has led to controversy, especially among the more traditionalist Catholics. However, the radical changes proposed in Germany are probably not what the Pope was thinking of, and now there are worries that the German experiment will taint the whole effort. The question on everyone's mind now is, what will the German bishops do if their attempts at change go unheeded? Will they be content to simply settle down and accept the status quo? Or will they ultimately seek to press the issue, even if it leads to a break with Rome?